Welcome. Okay, let's get into it. Sometimes the most unsettling tales aren't, found in fiction. They're right there in the chilling reality of everyday life. Today we're going to explore a collection of surprising, frankly terrifying true stories. They offer a glimpse into the unexpected, maybe the unexplained.
Yeah.
Our sort of mission here is to look at these first-hand accounts and, maybe gain some insights into the very real dangers that can just surface when you least expect them.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how these seemingly isolated incidents, they often tap into really universal fears, don't they? Or they expose vulnerabilities we didn't even know we had. It kind of forces us to rethink what we consider normal. These perspectives are pretty unique.
Exactly. So let's dive into our first story. It's a scenario that's genuinely a nightmare, especially for anyone working late shifts dealing with the public. This one comes from a young pizza delivery person. They experienced this escalating series of terrifying encounters with just one customer. It started pretty normally, actually. 2 deliveries, same duplex, both around 11 p.m. at night. The customer was this tall, skinny guy, maybe late 40s. First time, he just seemed a bit awkward. Then he paused, and said something like, "You're really beautiful, you know that," which is already a bit uncomfortable.
A bit over the line for a delivery.
Right. Then the second time, a few days later, he asks for their name, then their number. And when they said, "I have a boyfriend," he reacted badly, like visibly annoyed. And an important detail here, the delivery person mentioned they looked really young for their age, maybe like they were 15.
Okay, that adds another layer of unease.
Definitely. So then, the third time, about a week later, maybe 10:30 p.m., the house is pitch black. No lights on anywhere. As they walk up, the door just swings open. And there he is. But this time, he's wearing a suit.
A suit.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Bizarre and chilling.
Yeah.
Just starts laughing. Dismisses the boyfriend thing completely. Says, honey, there's no way a girl your age is in a serious relationship. And then before they can react, he lunges, tries to pull them inside, and he's holding a knife.
Wow. Just straight to violence.
Pure survival mode kicks in. They managed to punch him hard in the stomach with their free arm.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a knockout blow, but it stunned him, gave him a second to break his grip. They ran, sprinting back to the car. But he wasn't done. He somehow jumped onto the hood of the car.
Onto the hood.
Yeah, scratching, banged on the windshield with the knife. The only way out was reverse. They floored it backwards down the road until he fell off.
That's incredible presence of mind. The escalation, though, it's textbook. From awkward comments to outright assault. It really raises that question about how fast discomfort can turn into serious danger. You have to trust your gut in those moments, especially in jobs like that where you're vulnerable. Her quick thinking was remarkable. Truly saved her life.
Yeah, and the aftermath. It brings a sort of grim closure. They reported it immediately. Police took photos of the marks, the car damage. 2 days later, the police call. Turns out the whole duplex belonged to the attacker's brother. The attacker himself, known sex offender. History of robberies, assaults, sex crimes. Just got out of jail 5 months before this happened.
Oh my God, so recently released.
Exactly. He'd vanished after the attack. His family said they didn't know where he was, but the police did find him. He'd gone to another city nearby and tried to kidnap another teenager walking alone late at night.
He didn't stop.
No. Someone saw it happening, called 911. Cops caught him, trying to force her into his car. He took off again. Police chase. He ran a red light. A van just T-boned him. He died from his injuries right there.
Wow. So justice, in a way, but accidental.
Right. There's relief, maybe, that he can't hurt anyone else, but also just the horror, the trauma of facing someone like that. It really hits home, doesn't it? How seemingly ordinary people can be hiding these incredibly dark intentions, that need for vigilance. Okay, so from that kind of immediate physical danger, let's shift gears. We're going into something equally unsettling, but it spans generations. It touches on this mystery that really blurs the line between psychological torment and maybe something else, something more sinister.
Generational trauma, or maybe something more literal.
Exactly. This is a family's dark secret, a recurring pattern. Madness, death, always among the firstborn sons. And it seems tied to this apparition. They call it the Thin Red Man. It starts with the great-grandfather, bought the family cottage in England, came back rich from Scotland. Then, at just 29, he started losing his mind. His journals, they describe this bony, emaciated humanoid, completely red, like it was constantly bleeding, sunken eyes, paper-thin lips.
That's incredibly specific.
Yeah.
And terrifying.
He wrote about seeing it climb walls, ceilings, whispering to him he couldn't sleep. Eventually, he used a hunting shotgun on himself.
Oh, awful.
Then his son, the narrator's grandfather, Winston, Same thing, but started later for him at 39. So exactly 10 years later than his father. He started screaming about being followed by a red figure. The family said he handled the hallucinations better at first, whatever that means.
Managed it somehow.
For a while, maybe. But they got worse. He was found drowned in the pond on their estate. The official cause was sleepwalking.
Sleepwalking into a pond. Convenient, perhaps?
Yeah.
Or just tragic?
It's hard to say. Now, the narrator's own father, again, the pattern holds, age 49 this time, he starts seeing the thin red man, the description, exactly like the journal. Thin, tall, bony red. Saw it late at night, crawling on the bedroom ceiling, twisting his head to stare down.
The consistency is what's so chilling.
Constant night terrors.
Yeah.
Over a year, they became day terrors. And then he also took his own life.
It's this duality, isn't it? You have this incredibly consistent description across generations. Is it a tragic genetic mental illness manifesting in a specific way, some kind of inherited psychosis? Or is there genuinely something else going on, something supernatural? The different ways they died, but the same vision.
Yeah.
It makes you question the nature of fear, the power of suggestion.
Absolutely. And the narrator now, they're 26, the current firstborn son, planning a wedding, and they mentioned really hoping their first kid is a girl. They tried to rationalize it. Maybe the grandfather and father just read the great-grandfather's journal, and it planted this seed in their subconscious, became a hallucination based on the story. But that deep fear that this curse is real.
Yeah.
It's still there. It hangs over them. So it poses that chilling question, doesn't it? What would you do if you thought something like that, some inherited fate or just a terrifying story was waiting for you? How do you live with that? Okay, now let's explore a tale that's maybe less supernatural, but teaches a really stark lesson about trust, perception, and the kind of monsters that hide in plain sight. This is a childhood memory from someone who grew up in Eastern Europe. It involves a seemingly normal home security salesman going door to door. It turned out to be, well, a life-saving moment.
Okay, intriguing.
So picture this. Old white van pulls up, guy gets out, looks totally average, just a working man going door to door. Nothing weird about him at all.
Seems routine enough.
He knocks on their door. The narrator's father answers. And this is key. The father, without even blinking, just calmly says, "Oh, we already have a home security system." He elaborates, says it's set up all around the house, working perfectly. It was a complete lie. They had zero security.
Just a quick, instinctive lie.
Exactly. The salesman just smiled, said, "Okay, no problem," sounded friendly, and moved on down the street.
Okay, but obviously there's more to it.
Much more. Because later, the chilling context comes out. That salesman, he wasn't selling anything. He was casing houses, looking for easy targets.
So the lie was crucial. Yeah, this really highlights how predators can use these harmless appearances, right? Blend in, seem helpful, just to assess vulnerability. It really drives home that point about trusting your gut, even if nothing seems obviously wrong. That feeling can be the difference.
The absolute difference between life and death, as it turned out. 2 days later, police cars everywhere on their street. Investigators going door to door, just like the salesman had. They found out one of their neighbors, the entire family, mother, father, kids, all 5 of them,
Oh, no.
beaten to death with a hammer.
Oh,
While they slept,
God.
the police caught the guy. His face was on the news. It was him, the salesman.
So the father's lie.
Saved their lives. He said later it was just instinct. Growing up in a rough area taught him caution. Don't show weakness. Don't look like an easy target. That simple, confident lie made their house seem protected. It's incredible. It was a split-second decision, a gut feeling, averted tragedy. Makes you really think about how you answer your door.
Definitely gives you pause.
And finally, let's turn to a story that mixes the truly bizarre with the deeply unsettling. It takes us to this place that should be about childhood wonder, but became a nightmare, where a friendly face hid something sinister.
Joe, where are we going with this one?
China. An American living there didn't speak much Chinese, got a job at what they called a counterfeit Disneyland. Describe this place.
Yeah.
Totally shameless knockoff park. Performers in circle-eared mouse costumes, a duck that looked like Donald but wasn't, literally just Buzz Lightyear but with a different name. You get the picture.
Right, a bootleg park.
Exactly. The narrator's job. To be bootleg goofy. Tall dog, floppy ears, yellow jacket, tiny hat. The costumes were apparently pretty ragged, discolored. But the kids didn't care. They still saw magic. And crucially, the performers couldn't talk, only gestures, which hid the fact the narrator barely spoke Chinese.
Convenient for him, I suppose.
Until it wasn't. So, late night New Year's event, the narrator is exhausted, boiling hot inside the goofy suit, goes to an authorized break room, rips the giant head off immediately. Then another costume character walks in. It's Sean, a giant anthropomorphic orange cat with a big grin. But Sean doesn't say anything, just stands there, motionless in the doorway, staring through the costume's eye holes.
Okay, that's creepy silent mascot staring.
Gets worse. They hear this heavy, angry breathing coming from inside the cat suit. And then Sean pulls out
A hammer.
a hammer.
In a cat costume.
Yeah, starts yelling furiously in Chinese. The narrator only understood one word, foreigner. But they knew he was pointing that hammer right at them, clearly. So the narrator bolts, runs for their life. Sean is chasing them, screaming, waving the hammer. They burst through the door, maybe it was locked, maybe not, into another room. Another employee is in there. Sean slams his way in too, attacks the other employee, struggles over the hammer, breaks the guy's wrist in the process. While that's happening, the narrator escapes again, runs out into the park, disappears into the New Year's crowd, still carrying the goofy bodysuit, but headless.
What an image. And what a terrifying attack. The layers here are fascinating. The deception, the mask, the targeted rage. It just begs the question, who was that? And why single out the narrator? The truly chilling detail, apparently, was that the real employee who played Sean wasn't even working that night. He wasn't even in the province.
Exactly. Someone else got that costume, knew where the break room was, brought a hammer.
It was planned. A deliberate attack by someone unknown who infiltrated the staff area. That's deeply disturbing.
And the ending. No resolution. Suits were found back in lockers. A hammer was missing from a toolkit nearby. It was clearly planned. But the case went nowhere. Police apparently weren't interested in helping a low-wage foreigner. The narrator lost their job for running through the park without the costume head-on, believe it or not.
You're kidding. After being attacked.
Yup. They eventually just moved back to the States, never found out who was in the cat suit or why they were targeted. So what does that leave you with?
Yeah.
Just the unknown. The unsettling idea that sometimes there are no answers. Monsters aren't always things you imagine. Sometimes they wear funny costumes. Sometimes they just disappear. And you're left haunted.
That lack of closure is almost as scary as the attack itself.
It really is. So we've covered quite a range today, haven't we? From cold-blooded, deliberate attacks to these strange psychological family torments, and then just chillingly random acts of violence or terror. But the thread connecting them all seems to be that sudden collision with the unexpected, and how important simple awareness can be.
Absolutely. These stories, they're terrifying, no doubt, but they do offer these really profound insights, I think, into human behavior, the power of instinct, and just the strange, sometimes dark mysteries hiding right under the surface of normal life. You know, critical thinking is so vital today, and these kinds of accounts really force you to consider those hidden layers and how fast your sense of safety can just evaporate.
Yeah. So maybe as you go about your day, just think about it. How often do you really listen to those subtle cues, those little twists, that gut feeling that might be trying to tell you something important? These stories definitely show that sometimes your best defense is just paying attention, trusting your instincts. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into these truly unsettling stories. We hope you feel maybe a little more informed, perhaps a bit more aware of the stranger sides of the world around us. And hey, if you found this interesting, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. We appreciate the support. Until next time.